Okay, my lovely friends, here we go. We're together again at last, and I'm trying not to laugh. It's, well, it's incredible. It's just absolutely freaking incredible. All right, so this is my sorry. This is my post-market wrap-up on this Thursday, January 16, 2020. Why is Greg laughing? Why is Greg laughing? It's pretty simple. New record highs across the board for this stock market. And every single time I say that, stocks are going up. I get slammed. Greg, you're wrong. So-and-so is saying the market's going to crash tomorrow, this time and this date. Oh, you don't know what you're saying. And every single time, I'm proven to be correct. And I'm going to let you know a secret. We're not done. We're not done by a long shot. If you watched the video that I did this morning, and I hope you did, I explained to you there, stocks are not just going higher, but they're going much higher. Much higher. Why? Why, you may ask. Great question. Because the debt is ballooning. Ballooning. The Federal Reserve's balance sheet. You want to see the Federal Reserve's balance sheet? Okay. Go to my Facebook page, my Twitter page. I even wrote an article on Steam It, and I showed you a nice snapshot of what the Federal Reserve's balance sheet has done just in the last 6 months. It's gone parabolic. Now, how many of you that follow this lovely blog are surprised? No, not one of you, because I told you before it happened. Fed's going to go nuclear, hypernuclear, supernova. We haven't seen anything yet. Anything. So get used to it. The debt bubble is going to hyperballoon. The hyperballooning of the debt market is going to push stocks higher until this bursts. Again, we are in a multiple bubble environment, and every bubble is dependent on one. That is the debt bubble. The debt bubble will be hyper inflated. I mean, super inflated. It's already happening now. Just to keep the illusion real, to keep cash moving into the stock market. And people, this is a mechanism that's been in place since time immemorial. It's the bought and paid for government, the bought and paid for head of the government, you know whom I'm referring to. It doesn't matter what his hairdo might look like at the moment. It doesn't matter the color of his skin. It doesn't matter if it's a male, female, a donkey, an ass, one in the same, a cat, a dog, a bird, a piece of shit. It doesn't matter who sits in the pretty White House, okay? The pretty White House sitter, that is, again, to keep the cults in line. This cult hating this cult, Republican cult, Democratic cult, to keep people divided so they can conquer you, okay? You're allowing this to happen. Free yourself, free thoughts, free action. That's what it's all about. If you're locked into the cults, you're doomed. You're freaking done. You understand? Okay. So, with that said, the debt is going to be beyond your wildest dreams, hyperinflated. Now, when we're talking about the debt, we're not just talking about face value. We're talking about derivatives of debt. Okay, the whole debt derivative market that nearly brought down the world the last time is much bigger and much worse than it is today. The bought and paid for government and the central banks, which are the ruling party here, work in tandem to inflate bubbles and then deflate these bubbles. More cash is made faster when markets fall than when they rise, because the people think they're all smart enough to get out of the market as the market melts down. I promise you, I don't care who you are, you're not smart enough. Okay? That's the truth. So, with that said, and we know what to do. It couldn't be easier. We play this market. We put our cash to work here. At the same time, we bet against it by holding hard assets. Let them play their games. We're going to play our games. You got it? So there we are. And I urge you to go to either my Steam It page, my Facebook page, Twitter feed and look up the chart there, right off the Federal Reserve's own website. Better yet, go to the Federal Reserve's own website and look at the chart of their balance sheet just for the last 6 months. Parabolic. Para-freaking-bolic. You understand? You think this is going to end anytime soon? Why haven't we heard about this from the president? Ugh. Oh, maybe you think you're smart enough to know why. Maybe some of you are. Anyway, so that's the story here. Now, let's talk about a couple of other things here. So stocks, yeah, new record highs across the board, and we're not done. You know that. Cryptos did nothing. Metals did nothing. Crude oil's getting a bit higher. Now, how many of you are surprised about that? None of you. Okay, we'll talk more about that in a minute too. So we found out today a couple of things, people. The United Nations is explaining that the global economy is failing. Now, they did not omit the United States from this, although we are booming, right? That's what I heard. We're booming. No, we're not booming. And how do we know we're not booming? Because we got another report today on U.S. freight shipments. Shipments of freight within the United States is plunging. Plunging. We're not shipping things. We're not making things. Henceforth, our manufacturing sector is in free fall. And we are not shipping things that we can't make, that we're not making. Simple. Very simple. You got it? So again, the illusion. Watch the stock market. Forget about the economy in free fall. Forget about the fact that the Fed's balance sheet is ballooning to keep the illusion real, to keep stocks propped up. It's a wealth transfer mechanism. Wealth transfer mechanism. That's all this is. And those of us on the right side of this, and me, my lions, and I'm hoping my friends too, are going to be on the right side of this thing that is going to overtake the earth. It's going to be truly, truly epic. Anyway, a few other things that we need to cover. Now, how many of you remember me? I do this very, very rarely. So when I say these things, you should pay attention. Okay. Let's put a couple of things together. How many of you recall this guy explaining to you year and a half, I said, buy Kinder Morgan, ticker KMI, was like 15, 16 bucks. It's like $21 today. Okay, those of you that got in on that are very, very happy. I personally know some of you. Make sure you're paying it forward. You know who I'm talking to out here. When President Trump said, I quote, I must support Apple stock, the company, I put out a buy recommendation. Apple has gone parabolic since that time. We have all made sick amounts of cash, those of us that got in on this. Now, here's the new play. And again, this is kind of a rare thing. Here we go. Buy the banks. Buy the banks. Now, let me tell you why. And I'm only looking at one thing here. Yesterday, when President Trump was talking about the fantabulous deal, the most historic deal that President Xi didn't even show up for, the dude. It was historic. This was the biggest deal in the history of the world. But Donald Trump was there without his friend Xi, X-I. Yeah. Whatever. The dude. I can't imagine how it's such a big deal could be there without both dudes, but the representatives were there, but it was so big. Anyway, during this whole charade, President Trump said on live TV, he praised the banks. He praised JP Morgan specifically about their blowout earnings. Now understand what's playing into this. Obviously, the president likes the banks. And just don't take my word on what I'm about to tell you. And I want you never to do that. President Trump's tax cuts for the banks have been a windfall for the banks. Okay. And the banks are also creating windfall profits by how? Creating debt slaves on an industrial scale. People can't get enough of debt. They're borrowing, 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 and continue to borrow. Again, household debt and personal debt is at all-time record highs. Every day it gets bigger. Every single day. American citizens are the most indebted on the planet, just so you know, in our booming economy. This will not stop until they all drop the freak dead. Period. Again, so when you have a recommendation from a sitting U.S. president, President Trump, to buy the banks, he said it. He said it by, look at those blowout profits from J.P. Morgan. Isn't it tremendous? His exact words. Well, the banks are having windfall profits here. So do you not want to own the banks? Look, don't hate the player. Hate the game. You support President Trump? Go Trump! Buy the banks. You got it? He loves the banks. He loves the central banks. The man is all about debt. The man is all about creating slaves on an industrial scale. And they're not done either. They're not done borrowing, people. So again, you want to yell and scream at me? For what? If you're a Trump supporter, well, you should have my freaking back here, right? He loves the banks. I'm telling you to buy them. So far, not one of my public calls with what you should be buying has gone wrong. None. Zero. Now, if you want to look at precious metals, these are longer term investments. I've been buying silver since it was about $8. So I'm doing pretty well here. I bought all the way up and I continue to buy gold, silver, platinum, palladium, all of them. Cryptocurrencies too. You should be in these same spots, people. Again, we got this from every single angle. Everyone. Short term, my lions out here are ripping the face off of this market completely. From an investment standpoint, you know what to do. From a longer term investment standpoint, you need to be in metals. You need to be in cryptos against the dollar. Period. That's my take on it. You can have your own. But again, those who choose to bet against me, and this is just kind of funny. You know, I'm going to mention this right now. Why not? Over the past several months, there's been a couple of very interesting blogs featuring me. Do the opposite of what Greg Mannarino is saying. Don't listen to him. Stocks are going down. Short this market. They're all broke. They're all broke today. And if you notice, I hear nothing. Zero. Now, none of these same characters is saying, do the opposite of Greg. Bet against Greg Mannarino. Because you know why? They all lost. And they will continue. But they learned a lesson here. Look, this is a game. Well, this is literally like some kind of a game, but it's real. And if you know how to play it, you know where the pieces are. You know where they're going to move before they do. You listen to things like this, like the president praising the banks. Windfall profits. These tax cuts are amazing. Good. They're going to get bigger. The banks are going to do better moving forward. So let's take the president. Let's listen to the man. Listen, I learned my lesson already. One time, I didn't listen to this guy, but he's got Wall Street in his back pocket. The president has got Wall Street in his back pocket. The president has got the central banks dictating to him what to do. And they're reaching their goal, their final freaking solution, creating debt slaves on an industrial scale. And that's the end game, period. It's very sad. It's a very sad situation, but don't hate the player. Hate the game. All right, with that said, people, look, this is so easy. We know what to do. We know when to do it. We're not going to let opportunity pass us by unless you are a freaking sheep laying down to be sheared. None of my lions will do that. Not one of my freaking lions is going to let these opportunities pass us by. Ain't happening. Two more things I want to run by you real quick. And I keep getting a lot of people writing to me about it. Yes, I'm working on putting together a fund, but you have no idea how much work this is. I didn't know either. When you're trying to do a private fund like I do, there are so many roadblocks in your way. Why? Because the banks own it. The banks don't want someone like me Truly, I've learned this already in the past few months. They don't want a guy like me to start a private fund. It's very expensive. It's nearly impossible, but I'm working on it. Any of you out here have tried to legally put together your own fund? Let me tell you something. You got obstacles in your way. With that said, in the meantime, and I'm not doing this tomorrow either, I'm going to open myself up. The last time I did this, I got overwhelmed and I shut it down after like a month. I'm going to be opening myself up to people who are interested in having me guide them with where they should be putting investments. I'm not going to manage anyone's cash. Again, I'm putting together a fund, or at least trying to for that. But there's nothing stopping me from helping you, decide what's right for you, putting together, let's say, an investment portfolio and allow you, to take the action. There's nothing preventing me from doing that. Obviously, I cannot do this for free. And I don't believe any of you would expect me to do this for free. So I am working on this too. And that's going to probably come first. The fun thing is difficult, but I am working on it. This guy loves you from the heart. I'll see you in the morning. Please share the video. I'm out of here.